I think we're live. There's a bit of a delay, if you wonder why day in, day out. I don't know whether we're quite live. There's a bit of a delay with various things. But anyway, hey, yeah, couple of minutes, folks. I always start the show streaming a couple of minutes before the top of the hour, or a minute or so before, if I'm not running late, which I wasn't today, for technical reasons. And never mind that, because it's really boring and it doesn't matter. But let's have a good show. Yeah, a minute or so.
How long are we looking at on this show?
Marty, shut up. You can't get it yet. 1, 2, da-de-da, Ooh. Oh, seems to be working. Hello. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We'll be right with you. Hold on. Daily Brexit, live at 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, coming up shortly. Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Live at 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up soon. Daily Brexit. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up. Da-de-da. Ooh. Oh, seems to be working. Hello. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we'll be right with you. Hold on. Daily Brexit, live at 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, coming up shortly. Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Live at 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Daily Brexit, yes, coming up soon. Daily Brexit. Hello, folks. And welcome to the Daily Brexit. Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination, and exposing plutocracy. I'm Olly Connelly. Thanks for turning up. And today's show, UKIPPERED? Has the Brexit party been done like a kipper? Do the Bolton Wanderers mean UKIP scuppered? Does it matter? I've got Marty Caine and George Hellis, popping political, here with me. And hey, you too, yeah? This is a call-in. Please do. And otherwise, corrections, suggestions, addendums, and questions, I'll see you in the comments. Get stuck in. Please, share the show, let folks know we're talking, we're watching, we're thinking, we're active, da-de-da-de-da. This bit of music here means something to me, because it's like the calm before the storm, yeah? Okay, all right. Let's have a roll call. Marty Caine, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you can hear me all right.
I can. Yeah, you sound terrific. And what about you, George? Have you pulled over? I know you're on the M4 driving along.
No, I'm not here.
Good. Excellent. That's perfect. Brilliant. Oh, right. Well, I take it, gentlemen, that you've been poring over the Ramona-in-Chief's conference speech. No?
Not really, no.
What? George, have you? You must have watched her majestic top-nifference.
Top-nifference? Wow. If I'd known she was top-nifference, I would have actually listened. But
it would have made a difference, wouldn't it?
I think
it would have made a difference.
She's got absolutely nothing to say that I might possibly want to hear.
Oh, look, I'll tell you what. She had plenty to say today that you do want to hear. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can pull this in. Let me see if I can pull this in. Look at this. Listen to this. Go.
10 years after Northermock, the economy is back on track. The deficit is back to pre-crisis levels.
Ooh. Hold on. She's doing a Clinton.
On track.
There is a point to this.
We're firmly on course to get our national debt falling and business investment is growing. Now, the work to get there hasn't been easy. It's meant big decisions and huge sacrifices. I know that the public sector has had to carry a heavy burden.
Yeah, they could do with 20 billion quid, I reckon. There is a point to this.
Businesses and the public
this is the Prime Minister, her conference speech, a very damaged PM. And she's basically doing a Hillary Clinton, but you know what she's really doing? You know what that is? You know what that is? That is the sound of somebody who coughs up 20 billion quid without a proper mandate to do so. What do you think, guys? I mean, actually, she had an imploring speech. I'm going to just show you a couple of other things. That happened today during her speech. This was maybe the best bit. Look at this.
And a strength that was shared.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Hold on, watch that again. Look at that. It's an F off. It's an F off. That wasn't my joke. Yeah, that's care of Guido, and Guido's been having a lot of fun today. I'm going to show you something else. Because this was the best. Check this out.
That has a vision of an open, global, self-confident Britain, while our opponents flirt with a foreign policy of neutrality.
Boris asked me to give you this, he says. And he's given her a P45. Look at that. Look at that. He's giving her a P45.
Of neutrality.
I love it. That guy is a genius. He's brilliant. Come on the show. Please. Comedian Simon Brodkin or Lee Nelson. They're not sure. He's a hero. Check out the rest of this. He's given her the P45. She's accepted it. And now, it's her husband that's doing the security, by the way. G4S, is it? Whatever. I tell you, you can't make it up. And now they're trying to pull him out. And listen. Out. Yes, exactly. Brexit. That's what we're after. Out, Theresa May. Out. For crying out loud, woman. They're sending you a message. They're giving you a P45 or get us out. Anyway, I love that. That guy, awesome. The BBC are probably wetting themselves, having a they want her, don't they? And Nigel Farage, according to Westminster, if May stays, Corbyn will be PM. Nigel Farage slams Theresa May and issues warning she's boosting Jeremy Corbyn. And she is. Britain's Brexit leader, Nigel Farage. Westminster calling Nigel Farage Britain's Brexit leader, yeah, has told Westminster that Theresa May is now such a liability that she will result in allowing Jeremy Corbyn into number 10.
And they're absolutely right. She's completely busted. She's a busted flush. She's finished. And you really shouldn't be mocking the afflicted.
Poor old girl. Poor old girl.
Jury is still out on that one with me, I'm afraid, with Theresa May.
No, she's done for. She might believe she's not. But
has she not been done like a kipper?
There is a thing of staying too long. And that's where she is now.
Olly just hit the nail on the head a moment ago when he turned around and said, who gave her the authority to give away 20 billion? And the fact of the matter is, the truth of it is, she hasn't given away anything. That whole speech in Florence, she knew full well that the EU would never be able to accept anything that she offered them. She could give them the world on a plate, and she wouldn't be able to accept it. She
certainly gave away her negotiating hand. She's basically tied one arm behind David Davis's back.
Well, I think what she actually has done is turn around and give them such a good deal that she can now walk away from the exit tables with her head held high, saying, well, I offered them this, they said no, and that's it. And if she takes us out of the EU before March 2019, she'll suddenly become the national hero.
Well, no.
That is an interesting theory.
I'm
no,
sorry,
George?
I've got to disagree with that. She can't wait until then. She is now a busted flush. Okay? The only way she can redeem herself is by walking out. And she can't wait that long. She has to do it now. She has to say, that's it, you've had your chance, goodbye, thank you very much.
Which is what I think was the whole purpose behind the Florence speech. What other reason would there be for doing that speech, hyping it in the way that it was hyped, 18 months before the end of an exit negotiation, knowing full well that they can't accept any deal that we offer them? She is going to walk away, and then she'll call the general election and she'll win it.
When will she walk away?
I reckon by March 2018.
That's too far away.
Why?
Because obviously it's too far away.
At the moment we're stuck until March 2019.
The Conservatives are losing ground all the time. They're becoming a bit of a laughing stock. Corbyn is outmanoeuvring them. And we all know that Corbyn's promising stuff he can never do. But unfortunately, the young, as always, are gullible. And they don't remember the last time Labour came in and screwed the country up. So they'll believe anything he tells them. Because he's a little bit of a hero to them.
Martin.
George.
She's a shill. She's a Remainer. She's a Bilderberger. She doesn't give a stuff about the UK.
Oh, just tell me the reason behind, the logical reason behind holding that meeting at that speech in Florence. What was the reason, the ultimate reason for it?
To buy time, to play games, probably the same deal with Boris when he wrote that letter just a few days before, which he U-turned on straight after her speech by condoning her speech.
So do you think he may have U-turned on it because he was told, don't worry about it, we've only done this because we're going to walk away anyway?
I think they're playing games. I think that this government... Yeah, sure. But the bottom line is there was a referendum. It was a clear-cut result. It was fairly tight. It was relatively tight, but it's a tricky question. And people weren't even given the evidence. Most people have no clue about the reality that is the EU. And frankly, how bloody evil it is as a control grid of human traffic.
I have to say that something needs to be done now. This is what she's done, is she's allowed it to be put on the long finger again. We're in a position where everything we said to them, they would demand unrealistic things. They were looking for everything. It was totally unrealistic. We could have walked then. But she went in with this speech and offered them loads of stuff, and that's to put it on the long finger. Because you and I both know, you and I and everybody else who's had any dealings with the EU know full well that time is their friend.
Yeah, it is. And we're funding tyranny, effectively. We're funding the kind of organisation that sits back whilst its only people get pelleted with rubber bullets, that just sits back and condones it, and they want an army. What are they going to do with that?
Well, come on.
Start World War III,
We're
probably.
funding tyranny, are we not?
Come on. Be reasonable. You have to be reasonable. You have to understand something here.
Go on.
That the EU is a bunch of suits living the life of a billionaire, doing nothing for it. And why on earth would they let these peasants ruin it for them?
Well, exactly. They don't want to. And that's why they're, at the moment, so much sitting on the fence, because they know that they can't win either way. Everything's imploding.
Here's the problem.
It's like a slow train crash that we're seeing with the EU at the moment. Carry on, sorry.
Here's the thing everybody has missed. We are the Catalans. aren't we?
In what sense do you mean? In terms of we want our independence?
We had our referendum, and we're leaving. So we are them.
Is it not a bit naive to say that we're leaving until we actually have left?
No, okay, let's rephrase that. We are supposed to be leaving.
Yes.
Okay, we are supposed to be leaving. And they will, if they can, do exactly the same to us as they did to the Catalans to stop us. And anybody who doesn't believe that is a fool.
They will try to do that. You are right. They'll try to stir up as much trouble as they can in the country in the same way. But the fact is, we have invoked Article 50. That has gone through. The process ends on the 29th of March 2019. You cannot change the Lisbon Treaty, rewrite it, or anything like that. We are out on March 2019. The only way that Theresa May can actually pull anything out, pull a rabbit out of the hat to make sure that she wins a general election is to walk away before the 2019 deadline. Mm-hmm. And that is what the Florence speech was all about, because they'll get the repeal bill through, they'll repeal the ECA 1972, and she'll turn around and she'll be like the new Maggie Thatcher. Everybody will say how wonderful she is because she's took us out of the EU. She'll call a general election, and I guarantee you now there'll be a general election GE 2018.
That is actually interesting, isn't it, George? Because this woman, Theresa May, if she wanted it, she could have a Churchillian legacy if she takes us out.
Well, I'm still not sure about that. I honestly am not sure, even under those circumstances, if she could win a general election.
Labour's not top of the bill at the moment, are they? Look at the state of Labour. And they can't offer it. Look what they did in 2017. They put what I call was the Hansel and Gretel manifesto out, just to attract the kids. Now they won't fall for that again.
Sweets, kids. Fancy some sweets.
It nearly worked, but it didn't, and they won't be able to do it again.
Well, they will, because they've already backtracked on a lot of it.
Yep. U-turns on student tuition fees and a U-turn on Brexit. The two most important policies in that manifesto, they lied about, it turns out.
But, you've got to remember, they're kids. Why would Daddy tell me he's going to get sweeties if he's not? So he must be going to do it.
I don't know what's going on with the allegations of double voting by the students. I'm not sure what the Electoral Commission has uncovered on that. Any news, guys?
Under the carpet.
Well, there's no empirical evidence, is there? But you know, I saw lots and lots of posts, and you know, I saw people saying they voted 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Blimey. Was that?
And they were full of themselves. They thought it was brilliant.
It's truth.
And let's be fair, Labour were. I can't say Labour were encouraging them to vote more than once, but Labour were telling everybody that they can have a vote in uni or in college and at home.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. Down here in Poole, which is strong, you can't get more Tory than Poole. The Labour vote was, I didn't even know that many Labour voters were actually living in the Poole area. It was a staggering number of votes.
Yeah, but you've missed out the really important voters. Because let me tell you now, almost 100% of dead voters vote Labour.
Sorry?
Wait, how do you figure that one out?
Almost 100%
of dead voters.
Of dead people who vote Labour.
That's talented. How do they manage that?
Well, that's a good old thing called postal voting.
Oh.
The postal vote does need scrapping altogether. It's absolutely ludicrous, you know. What I can't understand, and it amazes me with the technology we've got today, why we're still using the old system of a ballot paper anyway. What the hell is that all about? It's only there because it's corruptible. Now, everybody's got a mobile phone. Every mobile phone has got a 16-digit individual number. You could put an app together, make it as secure as possible. It wouldn't be rigged, and you could have people voting on the phone.
Somebody would hack it.
Well, they can't hack past a 16-digit, ID code that every mobile phone has.
Of course they can. People are cloning phones all over the place.
We're going to declare independence.
Sorry, gentlemen, my fault. Carry on.
Yeah, but you could clone a phone, but you wouldn't be able to do somebody's phone with the details, everything else to do on a voting system.
Of course you would. If you clone a phone, it acts like the original phone. There is no difference.
Okay, let's not get into the minutiae of that. But I do think that Marty has got a fascinating theory. I've heard him opining this in the comments on these live shows, and I want to pick his brains a bit more about it. You say that she is absolutely 100% above board, that what she did in that speech was basically force the EU to put up or shut up. So in other words, we either, we give them the money that we basically promised them, that we signed off at the last budget round, which lasts us, which we would be paying anyway, were we to stay in, and we have to be there till 2019, and so we're basically paying that money anyway. We've got no voice at the table as such, but on the other hand, it's an appeasement. It's also good old-fashioned British being fair over treaties, doing the right thing, if you like, keeping to the rules that we helped to set, unlike pretty much all of our European counterparts, and all well and good. And that's it. That's all they get. You're saying that basically that, and that they will either go for that, in which case that's fine, we're coming out, 2019 we'll be out, we'll have squared the books financially, and we can go on our sweet merry way, or they kick up a stink, and they want more, and more, and more, and the talks fail, and then we go to a WTO trade deal, and we pay them nothing, no lump sum, because nothing's been agreed. Is that what you're saying, Marty?
Well, what I'm saying is the UK government could offer the EU the world on a plate, and they still would not be able to accept it. And the reason why they can't accept it is because if they accept any deal whatsoever, that will only encourage the other 27 states to want a better deal, or worse still, follow our lead in leaving the EU. So there's nothing the EU can do. They cannot accept anything that Theresa May puts forward. And that's what made me think, why did she hold that speech at all? Now, I believe that the reason why she's doing it is she can walk away and look with a head held high and say, that's it, I've done my best, they're not interested, come out and let's start talking trade.
Well, my personal opinion...
Carry on.
My
personal
George. Opinion is world trade terms would be brilliant right now. And let me tell you why. Because it would cost us virtually nothing. Our industry would build up because, you've got to remember what the EU is. What the EU is a Ponzi scheme. But the Ponzi is industry. And what they do, and they've done it with just about every country that's joined, is they've sucked as much industry out of the countries as possible, and they all end up in Germany and France. So now they're selling us everything back. So if we go on to WTO terms, they're the ones that will suffer, not us.
Yeah, because we've got an £80 billion deficit in trade anyway, so it's not in their favour not to have a free trade agreement with Britain.
All their manufacturers will be in bits. Now, what would happen then is if there were tariffs on things coming in, it would then all of a sudden make it more profitable to build them here. So our industry would take off again.
I'll tell you what people really need to start worrying about now is not so much what Theresa May and the UK government are going to do about Brexit. They want to start thinking about what's going to happen in Britain after Brexit.
I agree with that.
The political scene in this country at the moment is very, very volatile.
Absolutely. I mean, this actually is a different problem that we have now. The fact that the civil service is so pro-Remain, they're being so sluggish that they haven't been sorting out any plans for what to do after Brexit. It's disgusting. It really is absolutely appalling, their lack of action, no?
No, it's not a lack of action at all. Why is it a lack of action when you know it's not going to happen?
Oh.
Of course it's going to happen. It can't not happen now.
It cannot happen. It cannot happen.
How?
You watch and see. If this isn't sorted very, very quickly, there will a way around it will be found.
So I believe you're right. Tell me
how you can get.
How would that happen, though? It can only not happen by having another referendum, which...
And let's be honest...
No? Is that not the case? Which could happen under a Labour government, I would surmise.
I was living in Ireland when they had their referendum and said no. And the EU insisted they had another one.
Over Lisbon, or what became Lisbon.
They would keep having referendums until they gave the right answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the more
time
you give them, I am telling you that the circumstances here, they will do everything they can to gerrymander the circumstances here to have another referendum.
No, George, you're missing one big important part out, George.
Go on.
At no time in the two referendums in Ireland did they ever invoke Article 50. We're the first country to ever invoke Article 50. It's a standard procedure that has to be followed to the letter of the law, the international law, EU law, UK law. It's been invoked. That's the important factor.
One of their negotiators has already said it can be reversed.
How?
Sorry?
How?
I don't know how, but one of them has already said it can be reversed.
Well, yeah, but you have politicians.
Listen,
what about
over there?
Let's
you have the most corrupt people in the world running the EU.
Yeah.
You know, all the money's being stolen. God knows where it's going. I'm not
deep state merchants.
It's them that's stealing it. Yeah, but it's all disappearing now. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of euros every year just disappearing. Nobody knows where it goes.
Yeah, because they've never given us an audit. They're demanding money from us. We paid in $500 billion.
The point is,
and yet they won't give us an audit, which has been signed off by somebody who, if it's found they're lying, they can go to prison. In other words, there's no audit that is worth anything. Sorry, carry on, George.
But the point is that kind of money in these slush funds, because I'm sure that's where it's going, gives you so much power. You know, they can do lots. There's lots and lots they can do.
I'll give you a theory.
The latest thing we're hearing now. Hold on, I don't know if you've heard it.
Sorry.
The latest thing I'm hearing now is there's a campaign about to be launched, right? And I don't even know who's going to run it, to try to get all referendums that can only be voted in by people of working age. So the moment you hit retirement age, you can no longer vote in a referendum.
Really?
You wait. You wait.
Yeah. You've only paid a lifetime of tax and built the country into what it is today.
I'm not suggesting it. I'm not suggesting
I know
it.
you're not. I know you're not.
It is being suggested, and that would almost certainly give them a big advantage.
Oh, yeah. That would be it.
They will gerrymander our system.
Get all the ignorant students that are not taught civics at school and that, frankly, don't know what they're voting for. Frankly.
Ideally, they'd lower the voting age to 6 months.
Oh, they'd love that.
Yeah, and have the upper voting age at probably 45.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's me done. I might as well, you know.
Right, but basically, what is happening here, and it's happening right across the board at the moment, and it really is a lot of nonsense. People keep arguing. George has just done it now, and he's explaining to a room full of people that are all Brexiteers that everybody in this thing at the moment all wants out of the EU, and George, you're trying to tell us why we need to get out of the EU. We're all fully aware of it, but the truth of the matter,
why we need to get out of the EU. What I'm saying is that they will move mountains, they will do whatever is necessary, including the kind of stuff that was going on in Catalan, and worse, to stop us leaving.
Okay,
and
let's have some comments.
We can do anything about that is to get the hell out before it starts.
And all I'm saying is that Article 50 has been invoked and you cannot reverse it.
You can.
What? Okay, let me give you another.
You can't tell me how.
I'll give you another scenario for you to chew over.
Let me can we just deal with this?
Yeah. Go on.
Okay,
Sorry.
Article 50's been invoked. Okay, if I were running the EU, do you know what would be happening right now? I'd have the best minds in
You'd be in the wine cellar,
board,
drinking all the best Bordeaux's.
The best brains, the best legal minds that money could buy, and what they'd be doing now is working 24 hours a day to work out a way to fix that.
Yeah, but there is
and
no
if
way.
You don't believe that, then I'm sorry, you're not being realistic.
But what I'm saying is, I've studied the Lisbon Treaty from cover to cover for the past 10 years. What I'm saying is that once the Article 50 has been invoked, there is no reversal of it. The only way you can get an extension on the 2-year time limit is if all 27 states agree to it, which is we all know is never, ever going to happen. So there won't be an extension on it. And if to go back in the EU, I very much doubt would get accepted anyway.
I'm afraid it would happen. You've got to remember that every one of the 26 states, apart from us, makes a lot of money out of us.
Yeah, that's right.
They're going to all vote to keep us in.
Yeah, they are, because they have to have those funds. Otherwise, they're going to lose votes at home. They have to have those funds coming in.
It's not only the funds.
They want the defence.
Stuff we buy from them.
Right, sure.
And human nature would make one turn around and say, well, no, we want a better deal. You just won't get them all agreeing to it.
Gentlemen, I'm going to give you another scenario in a sec, but first of all, let's have some comments. Alice Hunter, he is right. I don't know who's right, but somebody's right, Alice. Hi, Alice. Andy Good, we won't let them legally. Matthew Atwood, I agree, they will do anything to ruin us. Beverly Taylor King, civil war will happen if they attempt to keep us in the EU. Alan J. Elder Brown, precisely, Marty. He's preaching to the converted. Sue McCollum, they're trying to get rid of common law. We'll come on to that, I suspect, Sue. Alice Hunter, they will do anything. Derek Pierce wants to know if Alistair Campbell is on the line, and I can assure you that he will never come on this show, although he's welcome, and it will be great fun. Andy Good, no way. John Lav, they can't stop us leaving. But they can negotiate the exit deal to make it look like we haven't left. What May spoke about in Florence was essentially associate membership of the EU on steroids. That doesn't exactly sound like truly exiting the EU. Okay, Marty, what would you say to John Lav? That's an interesting point, eh?
Sorry, say again.
Oh, for goodness sake. They can't stop us leaving, but they can negotiate the exit deal to make it look like we haven't left. What May spoke about in Florence was essentially associate membership of the EU on steroids. That doesn't exactly sound like truly exiting the EU.
Yeah, that is a good point in the sense of it was stayed in the EEA and still be controlled by the ECJ and stuff like that, but that's not going to happen because I'm no fan of the Tories, but I'm pretty sure they're not stupid enough not to know about Article 8 of the Lisbon Treaty, which basically dictates to the EU that they have to have a special arrangement with neighbouring countries, which we are. So our ace card in the negotiations is actually Article 8.
Sorry. I don't know anything about Article 8 either. Can you just say again basically what it is? You have to have some kind of a neighbouring agreement with every country that surrounds the EU. So, for example, Turkey.
Yeah, so basically Article 8 says that they must have special arrangements with neighbouring countries.
Right. And what has that got to do with what John has just pointed out there?
There's no point. The Tory government will know there's no point in doing a part-time deal where we're still hung in there and we're still controlled by the European Courts of Justice when we're going to have a special arrangement anyway.
What kind of a special arrangement? Why do you have to have a special arrangement with another country, whether they're a neighbour or not? Is this a kind of a courtesy thing, or...?
It's just something that's written in the Lisbon Treaty, and that's the law of the EU.
Right. So why does that affect John Lav's concern, which is that we could, under what May spoke about in Florence, become associate members of the EU, as he says, on steroids.
What he's talking about is the Norway, the Norway connection.
Like EFTA, like the European Free Trade Area. Yeah. The EEA.
I can tell you how it affects it.
I mean, go on, George.
Well, they have to have a special arrangement with all countries around them. So they'd have a special arrangement with us that would basically be still being membership, giving them loads of money, obeying all their rules, being in, but they'll pretend that we're not, just to keep us quiet.
But then you'd have a civil uprising in this country that happened.
No, you wouldn't. You would not have a civil uprising. All these people who talk about civil uprising.
Depends on perception at the time.
Civil war. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We will not have a civil war.
Why?
Do you honestly believe that people are going to pick up weapons?
George, can I ask you a question?
I can't see that.
Can I ask you an honest question?
I cannot see that.
Can you give me an honest answer?
Yeah.
Do countries have civil wars?
They do.
Right.
There won't be a
Tell you
civil
what,
war for that reason.
I'm in Spain, yeah, and I'm kind of wondering. Actually, maybe I'm in Castile. I'm not sure. I'll tell you next week. Yeah, civil war is a conversation around here at the moment. I'll tell you that, and it's not nice. Carry on.
I got a message from a friend in Finisterre the other day, and they're really worried about civil war. Yeah,
they're worried about it.
Yeah.
Let me just say this.
Go on.
Let me just say this: that there are other countries around the world, Spain being one of them, who've had recent civil wars. Okay? We haven't. When's the last one we had?
When we chopped off the head of some king.
I suppose, wasn't it?
Right. We are not.
But then we didn't like the bloke that took over because he tried to basically become a dictator and impose his son on us and stuff. So that Cromwell bloke didn't quite work out.
But we didn't have another civil war over it.
No, we didn't.
And we're not going to have a civil war now because we're more civilized than that.
Do you not think that there is a possibility of civil unrest? I mean, quite seriously, there's a lot of people that are getting really, really fed up with this Westminster shambles, which just does not represent their voters, whether they're Tory voters or Labour voters. You know, you march against war and you get war. And you say we don't want to do bombing raids in Syria, and you get bombing raids in Syria, and you get etc., etc., etc.
There's a difference between a bit of civil unrest and civil war.
Sure, there is. Yes. Well,
that's why. That is why I use the word civil uprising. But.
But that would turn into a civil war. It's not a civil uprising. It's civil disobedience. Right? That's when you demonstrate. And it's already happening. Unfortunately,
yes, it is. We did a show on civil disobedience last week. Carry on.
Antifa are doing it. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, they're crazies. Everybody thinks they're crazies except them.
George Soros. No, I don't know. A lot of people suspect so. I do. Is behind that.
He's backing everything. I mean, there are people around who want to control everything. It's in their interest. Big business. It's in big business's interest. You know, we're in a situation here now where we've got massive overpopulation. Services can't carry on the way they are. The money's not there for them because, you know, people keep banging on about, well, immigrants make lots of money for us. They don't. The majority of migrants come here from the EU and other places. They're taking up the lowest paid jobs. They're on 0-hour contracts, and
they're reducing salaries as well.
Hold on,
I mean, I know tradesmen in London whose salaries have been cut nearly in half because of the influx of Polish migrants. I mean, there's nothing against Polish migrants, not at all. But it is partly. I mean, but put it this way: we've not been told the truth. We've not been told the truth about the effects of our membership.
Let's get to the crux of this matter. So we've got these people coming in. They're on 0-hour contracts. They're not earning enough money to live on. They have children, you know, families. So they're getting tax credits. Now, you know, you've got companies like some of the big supermarkets. I won't mention names, just to try and protect you a bit, Ollie. But what's happening is they're hiring people on unrealistic wages. They know they can't live. They're giving them 15 hours work a week, right? Paying them stupid money for it. Yep. And we, as a country, are then paying them tax credits. And the tax credits we pay them go directly on the bottom line of the companies that employ them.
Maybe we should leave.
The point is, if you have a business and you can't pay your workers a living wage that does not need subsidy from a government, then you don't have a business. Am I right?
Sorry, George. Can you repeat that point? I didn't quite catch that.
If you have a company that cannot afford to pay its workers a wage they can live on for a good week's work, then you do not have a company.
Well, you've got a sham.
Hang on a second. The actual truth of the matter is that the majority of factory workers right across the country are all migrant workers, or a good 80% of the workforce of migrant workers, all on tax credits. And those businesses are still running. So that kind of says you're wrong.
Kind of what?
Well, it kind of says they've got businesses, they've got 80% migrant workers, they're on tax credits.
Yeah.
The business is there and running. So what you're saying is it's not a business.
It's not a business.
So
how's it a business?
Because they're selling products and...
No, it's not a business. A business makes profit. If they paid the wages that they should be paying, would they still make a profit?
Well, we've got a company down here called Lush, and their profit margins are very, very good. They're making lots and lots of profit.
Yeah.
80% migrant workers.
Yeah. And what percentage of their workforce are claiming tax credits?
I should imagine quite a lot of them.
Why? So why aren't they paying them proper wages? The tax credits, as I said before, we'll look at that one company. The tax credits that are being paid to their workers are going directly on their bottom line because they're not paying their workers.
Okay, I'm going to pull this back a little bit from the line we've come to, back to, and give you guys a scenario about how they might be able to keep us in. And one theory that I have is that, I mean, we know that the general election was a fiasco for the Tories. Some of us really do believe, and I do, frankly, that Theresa May tried to scuttle that election. And I wonder even if there was, probably not, but I wonder if there was some sort of an alliance behind the scenes, behind the curtain, between the Tories and the Labour Party to say to the Labour Party, tell the students that you're going to give them candy and tell everybody that you're going to respect the referendum result in your manifesto. And then after the election, you can scupper that. But we will also, we'll give a horrid manifesto by contrast, dementia tax and fox hunting and, basically we'll really annoy everybody. We will scupper this general election. That is my job, Theresa May says, Mr. Blair. And then you and your party of Blairites and Corbyn, keep him on the top for now. We can get rid of him after the election. You'll win. Now, maybe that's wrong, but we do know that the Tory party behaved as though they were trying to scupper that bloody election. And everything that's been going on with May, it just seems to me as though this government is positioning itself for another general election. We've got this disunity in the cabinet with Philip Hammond trying to extend the other day words that he used. Got to be so careful with the words that you use, the words that he used basically allowed that we could now be talking about an extended period, not just the kind of 2 years transition that Theresa May was talking about, but open-ended, the kind of thing that Keir Starmer bloke is talking about in the Labour Party, Incredible. And then we've got Boris, who seems to go up and down like a bloody yo-yo. But at the moment is talking hard Brexit. Most of those people in that cabinet voted for Remain. Most of the people that are chair people of various committees related to Brexit, 3 out of 4 of them voted Remain in the Commons committees, the select committees that are related to Brexit. It's absolutely beggars belief. We have all these Remainers on both sides. Let's just say that we carry on with this Tory trajectory of party implosion because of their infighting, their bickering, they're not really, truly being able to get behind what they were told to do in that referendum, which Cameron told us in a pamphlet that we all had to pay for would be binding. Let's just say that they do scupper their government and that we do end up with another election and that we do end up with a Labour government. Now then, from the kind of way that they've been, feeling what's going on in the air sort of thing, it seems to me that if there were another election now, they might be able to give the kind of language without actually quite saying it, that then after the election they could introduce another referendum within the precincts of their term. And if we get another referendum, who knows what that means? Who knows what that means? What does that mean?
Olly,
okay, guys.
Olly, seriously. Mm-hmm. If there was another referendum
Am I too much of a conspiracy theorist for you?
All right. If there was another EU referendum, the result would be more for Leave than it was last time.
If it's a legitimate referendum, you would think so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, hold on. You're a politician. You understand that it's the question that matters. And if you frame the question correctly, you can get the answer you want.
That's what they thought in the last EU referendum, and it didn't work.
No, they didn't.
The pamphlet that went out was designed so that people would remain, and it didn't work. Because
the pamphlet that went, but not the question. It's the question that matters.
Well,
how do you think pollsters work?
Just for argument's sake,
how pollsters work.
Let's just imagine for a moment that an EU referendum is based on whether we leave or remain. If that is the case, which it was last time, then more people will vote to leave than they did last time.
I agree.
Because of the way
that totally.
Because of the way that the EU has dealt with us since.
But that won't be the question.
What will be the question?
I don't know, but it will not be very simple. It will not be stay or leave.
But the majority of people.
The mistake they made last time.
But the majority of people will want the whichever way they decide to lay out the question, they will side with the idea of making sure we get out of the EU.
You know how pollsters work, don't you?
Yeah, but pollsters are referendums.
They can get you to answer almost any question the way they want you to, by the way they phrase the question.
By the way they phrase the question, but an EU referendum is pretty,
I've got some lovely questions that they could ask. Yeah, I've got some nice questions here. A referendum on the United Kingdom's membership of the European Union. This is something I put up the other day on Daily Brexit. Vote only once by putting a cross in the box next to your choice. Should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union? And I thought they could ask people, remain a member of the Bilderberg Group, or swap plutocracy for liberty, or maybe vote leave, then get a Remainer to negotiate, or maybe have a couple of GEs and see what happens, or let's have another ref for a laugh. Ask the war criminal, he knows best, or here, there's me wallet, take what you like. Sorry, carry on, gentlemen. I apologise.
You're very ranty this evening.
I am a bit. I tell you, I'm angry. I'm angry. I put on but you got to laugh, because you laugh or cry, and I want to draw as much humour, frankly, as I can into my life and existence. But I am angry because I'm just so bloody fed up. We've all been sold a pup. They've lied to us for years and years and years, and some of us have realized now that pretty much everything we thought was the way that our world ran was nonsense, or it was spin, or it was just absolutely not. It was disingenuous at best. And
absolutely.
And this EU deal is central to that. It's central to this whole globalist plutocracy that we see. Brexit actually is just one battle in a much, much bigger war. I posted the promo to this show up to some group, an NWO, plutocracy type group. I posted a promo to this show, to that earlier, and they said, hold on a sec, just a sec. Okay, we got a caller. Hold on, gentlemen, just one sec. I put the promo up into this group, and somebody commented under that, spam. This is spam. And I said, hold on, this isn't spam. We're fighting the same corner here, yeah. We all believe in the same thing, and we are. This Brexit thing, this EU problem is something that people are facing the world across in different ways. It's all part of the same damn plan. We just had Mark Childs. Yeah, he seems to be popping onto this show quite a lot this week. Yeah, that's fine. This is a call in. If you want to call in, please call in. Mark, what do you think about what I just said? Is Brexit just one part of a much, much bigger picture, or is it really a local European issue and that's it?
No, you're totally right, Ollie, and good evening, everyone. Look, without Brexit, we cannot have the means to secure our nations, make it prosperous like it once was, stop the threat of Islam. Everything comes with Brexit. It is absolutely imperative that we get the Brexit that we want, that serves our nation, that we voted for. We were sold down the river in 72, and it should have never happened.
Chris Rumbold points out, void ECA 1972. It was illegal. And, well, I think it was. What would you say to that, Marty? Was the ECA of 1972 contrived by traitors or not?
No. The ECA 1972 is an Act of Parliament, and an Act of Parliament goes through certain processes. It goes through the House of Parliament, it goes through the House of Lords, it goes back to the House of Parliament.
Is it not illegal to lie to the House?
And it gets passed in Parliament.
Is it not illegal to lie to the House of Commons?
If it was illegal to lie, then all politicians would be locked up.
Okay, but technically, is it not illegal to lie to the House of Commons?
It's a definition of lie, I suppose.
The answer is basically yes. And the ECA was contrived by people who, behind closed doors, and we have the minutes now that have been released under the 30-year rule. We know that they said we are going to be giving away not just a little bit of sovereignty, but a lot of sovereignty, particularly in the next century coming. We'll all be dead, Heath, all that lot. We'll all be dead. It doesn't matter for us. And we'll get away with it because of that 30-year rule. It was treason. They knew they were giving away sovereignty, and they never told the Commons.
It was basically signing up for an agreement without having the small print. That's what it was. When it was signed, when it was agreed, everything that came afterwards was not told to the politicians. They were told once they agreed to enter this process, and yet they still done nothing, even though they were deceived, which is obviously more for them. But I mean, could you imagine the uproar from the people? The politicians have signed us up for this without even actually knowing what they were agreeing to. There would have been an absolute pandemonium. MPs would have been sacked left, right.
Derek Pierce, Ted Heath took a bribe to sell us down the river and buried the paperwork for 30 years, so it was all fraud. Fraud! Derek says, Alan J. Elder Brown. It's not. Immoral, yes, but not illegal, I think that Alan means. Andy Good, you can't dishonour the House. They lied to the people. George, what do you think about this?
Well, again, they didn't tell us anything. They knew, but they didn't tell us. And the government knew, all the ministers knew.
So it's deceit as opposed to a lie. You could argue.
Of course.
Which amounts to the same thing.
The MPs went in afterwards once they found out exactly what they'd signed up to. And they said, why did you not tell us? We would have never signed up for this if you had told us the truth. And he said, well, that is why I never told you. He lied to the MPs. The MPs signed up for this without knowing what they were getting them into, what they were getting us into.
What you should really do is go onto YouTube and Google this speech by Enoch Powell.
Which one?
He did a fantastic speech on the European Economic Community.
Right.
And he basically told people that we were going to lose sovereignty. So to say that the politicians didn't know what they were doing is nonsense, because the politicians knew exactly what was going on.
I agree. They did once it was signed, because they were told.
But the process of Parliament is quite a long-winded process, and at the end of it, it starts off as a bill, and at the end of it, it gets the royal assent and it becomes a statute law. I keep seeing the Dragons keep saying about voiding the ECA, which is basic nonsense. You can't void an Act of Parliament. You can only repeal an Act of Parliament, and only government can do that. You know, a judge can't say void it. Only Parliament can actually repeal an Act of Parliament.
Agreed.
So,
okay, Alan J. Elder Brown says, please start thinking of sensible solutions. Forget piffle. Alan, I don't know that this is piffle. I don't know. It
is piffle. It is piffle in the sense of what a lot of people are doing is reiterating all the time, going over and over and arguing why we need to leave the EU and why we need to get out.
But we're not now. We're not. We're talking about the process that took us into the EU, and was that fair? Yeah.
It probably life isn't fair. But
yeah, but we're talking about a country of people. This isn't, somebody lost their job because they said something wrong. This is about deceiving an entire nation and potentially ruining a culture. That is not just, life's not fair. That is, life's not fair.
because we have laws in this country that are not fair law. It's
yes.
You just have to
under
accept it.
Parliamentary
and you have to
democracy,
change it for the better. You have to try and do something to change it for the better. It's no good saying I don't want to do that. It wasn't fair. You have to get involved.
I agree with that, but it's important that people are aware of what's happened. If you don't look to your history, you cannot calculate properly for the future.
True. That's very, very true.
We need to. This is why civics needs to be taught in schools, for example.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to dig up Edward Heath and put him on trial and then hang him at the end of it?
No, look. Okay. I was talking about history, and also fair. Maybe we covered that a bit more, But I do think this is quite interesting. I'll just go through some comments before we move on. Gary Dodds, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who he's referring to. Maybe all of us. Steve Richards, there was another MP that gave a great speech in the 70s that warned against the EU, but I can't remember his name. Heath was present. Maybe that was the
Enoch Powell speech.
Enoch Powell speech. Steve Piper, we need to be looking forward to life after Brexit. Yes, we do. Chris Rumbold, Heath gave away our sovereignty without telling the people. He said it was safe. Fraud, deceived. Yes, you can. Marty is correct. Very true. Okay, all right. Okay, fine. Right.
It's just worth noting, Ollie, before we move on for what you said. Yes, obviously, studying history, what's happened, what's allowed us to be sold down the river like this is very important. But at the same time, how can we study history and make sure that we don't make these mistakes again when history is currently being rewritten for us?
Damn right. Damn right. I totally agree with you. Mark, you called in. Presumably you've got a question, sir, before I go back to my guests.
No, I mean, I was just going to hang around if you wanted me to.
Oh, well, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, all right. Okay. I would really like more folks to call in. Yeah, let's mix this up. I'd appreciate that. Right. I want to ask you, gentlemen, about the theme of tonight's show. What was it? UKIPPERED? Question mark. Has UKIP got a future? I'm going to ask George this question first.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm not sure, is the truth. And I have to say, with Brexit, we are where we are, yeah. But what's happening in UKIP is not helping that situation at all. Now, you know, the new leader, Henry, you know, fair enough. He came from nowhere. I have no idea how he won. He did it. Obviously, it's legitimate. I'm not saying there's anything hooky about it. It's obviously legitimate. But that is going to cause a real split. And I believe that UKIP would be better with either of the other frontrunners. Either of them.
I would disagree on that, and I think the reason why Henry won is mainly...
Mark. No disrespect, sir, but I want my guests to take priority tonight, if you don't mind. Okay, what would your riposte be, Marty?
Sorry, say again.
What would your riposte to George be?
You'll have to remind me, because it was a load of noise coming out over the microphone that I couldn't hear him. We do have some noise. George, could you just say your point again, please?
As I said, I don't know where he came from.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there was anything hooky, because it was obviously legitimate.
Yes.
There's no question about that. But I believe that UKIP would have been stronger with either of the other leading contenders.
The advantage that they've got by having Henry Bolton as their leader is the simple fact that he's bulletproof to the media. It's the most important aspect of all the candidates that was there. If Anne-Marie Waters would have won, then UKIP would have gone nowhere fast, because they would have been polling alongside BNP and Britain First. Basically, they would never have escalated in politics. You can't progress in politics on an anti-Islam ticket. It's just crazy. To wield the power of politics, you have to first gain that power, and you'll never gain that power on an anti-Islam ticket. You've seen it with National Front, Britain First, Liberty GB, whatever. They don't get that kind of support to do so. John Rhys-Evans with his direct democracy idea was probably the best option for UKIP, but I think at the end of the day, the best man won in Henry Bolton. He's going to surprise a lot of people.
Well, it will certainly surprise me, because, you know, I don't think he's got any charisma. I don't think, you know, I think he's just Joe Bloggs. And that's
he
not
would
what
make.
UKIP
I actually put the question to him when I interviewed him last week, or the week before. I can't remember. It's all a bit of a blur now. But I asked him, maybe there should be somebody in the helm in the main chair that is entrepreneurial and kind of, you know, got a real buzz, if you like, about them, and maybe somebody with your experience should be a security candidate, a security advisor, or, you know, in charge of the security thing, who obviously got amazing experience and all that. And he said, well, no. I mean, I can take that experience and do that as the leader. But I mean, we're looking at, I mean, we do have this deal with personality politics, and to be honest with you, it annoys me, because once I got caught up in that myself, and I voted for somebody who seemed to be a very charismatic character, and he turned out to be a war criminal who probably, God's truth be known, should be in the bottom of a dungeon or possibly worse. And we can get caught up with personality politics. So there's two ways of looking at this, are there not, Marty? On the one hand, this guy, Henry Bolton, he's not exactly going to win Britain's Got Talent, but on the other hand, he's a steady hand.
He's a good team negotiator, and if he picks the right team around him, then UKIP stand a chance. If he doesn't pick the right team around him, it's going to carry on the downward spiral it's been for ages, because the Crowber's cronyism team will carry on pulling the party down.
Alan Love makes a fascinating comment. UKIP have become a centre-left party indistinguishable from Lib Lab Con. Demo's Direct Initiative, about to be renamed, is the party that is filling the gap left behind by UKIP in its new soft left rebrand. Demo's Direct Initiative, what can you tell us about that? I think you know a bit about that, Marty, eh?
Well, I should do. I'm the leader of it.
Yeah.
Demos. Demos is a Greek word for the people and the origins of the word democracy. And what Demos wants to do is basically give the people a voice in politics. Now, the EU referendum actually woke people up from political comas. They suddenly got hungry for politics again, but didn't actually like what was on the menu. So what we decided to do with Demos was create a party that was different from the rest. The problem with political parties is it's the power pyramid of a political party has a leader at the top, and the power dwindles down to the membership at the bottom, who are generally just cash cows and canvassers. Mm-hmm. So what we did in DDIP was basically turn that pyramid upside down and put the membership at the top. And then the higher the rank you raise within the party, the more subservient you become to those members. It's a direct democracy system within a party. So everything is decided by the membership through debates, through voting and everything else. We actually believe that the politicians don't actually have the answers. The people have the answers. But what we need to do is create a system where we put the people together, to put their heads together to find the best answers.
Why have you set this up? I know this was a JRE, John Rhys Evans vehicle. Actually, first of all, tell me, what is... It's Demos. Is it not Demos? Is that the way it should be pronounced?
It's Demos. It's pronounced as D.
Okay. What is the... where does that leave DDIP? Or is it the same thing?
Yeah, DDIP is Demos.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Why did you set that up on the one hand, and yet on the other hand, you still seem to be supporting UKIP quite strongly?
I actually left UKIP in 2014 because I was passionate about making real change in British politics, and I want to hear what people have to say. I like to engage with people, chat to people. Basically, the start of the downfall for UKIP was they won the EU elections of 2014. It made them extremely popular, and while everybody was shouting and cheering, the ones were called at the time the NARPs, the newly arrived and rapidly promoted types like Susan Evans and Patrick O'Flynn, came into UKIP not knowing what UKIP was about, not interested in finding out what UKIP was about. They wanted to turn it into something that is totally not what UKIP was ever about, and they've succeeded in doing that. I went down to Torquay at the weekend for the UKIP conference. Well, mainly I went down there to have a meeting with John Rhys Evans. Mm-hmm. And I looked around, and the very first person I saw was Paul Nuttall. He recognised me straight away. We had a good laugh and a good chat.
Right.
But I looked around, and I would say 80% of the people in UKIP today didn't join until after they won the EU elections.
Right. Now, that is a fascinating point in itself. Does that... Okay, just doesn't... Let's take this aside. You're basically saying that you're reaching out across party lines, if you like, to look at alliances and to find out what people are saying. Yeah, I mean, that to me, that does sound very healthy. Is that correct? I don't want to misrepresent you.
The fundamental idea behind DDIP is this idea that the collective thoughts of the many will always find better solutions faster than the selective opinions of the few.
But you're okay. Fine. I mean, you're still involved with UKIP to some degree, interested enough to have gone to the conference, and but
I didn't actually go into the conference. If I did, I'd have probably got thrown out.
Right. Okay. Fine. But okay. All right. Okay. So you're talking to people across party lines in the spirit of what?
Well, in the spirit of politics, really. I talk to people in Labour, I talk to people in Conservatives, I talk to Lib Dems. It's politics.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay. That point you just made about the membership is fascinating because just looking at Alan's comment back there and looking at some others, Andy Good, UKIP been compromised, he says. Now, this is a theory that people have. Henry Bolton appears to me as a box-ticking senior civil servant. He will squeeze the last vestiges of radicalness out of UKIP. There is an argument, whether you like it or not, to say that he's another Carswell, that he's a fake. I hope he isn't. I absolutely hope he isn't. I don't know. It is my job as a journalist to be skeptical, not cynical, skeptical. And I intend to hold on to that remit. And it's actually quite comfortable because I don't know who to support. But there is a fascinating theory here about Henry Bolton maybe looking a little bit like a plant. And you mention that, if you like, that UKIP has become the kind of the establishment's face of Brexit. And you've mentioned that the membership is now largely made up of people that joined very recently. Is there an argument to say that UKIP has been compromised, that the membership is basically made up of old Tories who, I don't know, whatever, who will go along with what kind of a more of an establishment type character? Has UKIP been infiltrated in its membership as well that then voted for Henry Bolton?
Back in 2010, Nigel Farage used to say, Labour and Conservatives, you can't fit a fag paper between them. And instead of UKIP remaining the party that was outspoken, outlandish, told the truth, they've gone more closer to closing the gap between themselves. And you can't really put a fag paper between Labour, UKIP and Conservatives now. It is an establishment party.
Well, I'll disagree with that. I think first of all, your statement that UKIP membership is 80% people who joined after the referendum. How'd you come to that?
Well, it was just
or is that you just have a look around and maybe look on Facebook and the people you don't know, so you assume that they've come in after. You can't possibly say that without the figures. You're just making bland, sweeping statements with no proof and nothing to back it up.
Well, I can back it up with the fact that I stood outside the UKIP conference for quite a few hours, myself and Alan Love, looking at the people that was coming into the conference.
Yeah, but I stood outside the National Westminster Bank today for 25 minutes, and I've got to tell you, every single person that walked into that bank was a multi-millionaire.
Yeah. I suppose you could tell me that, George, but I don't know why you would.
Well, I don't know why you'd say what you said.
Because basically, while I was in Torquay, I was actually chatting to old friends like Bill Etheridge, Paul Nuttall, even Piers. And I mentioned this to them, and they said, yeah, basically, you're right. So
what you're saying...
And this is...
Hold on, no, let's get this clear. What you're saying is that only 20% of the UKIP membership were members before the referendum. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that is what I said.
No, hold on. That is what you said.
Are you going to let me speak or not?
Well, That is what you said.
Right. Now, what I said is, while I was in Torquay, I was speaking to people,
No,
and the impression that I
talking to in Torquay.
Wait,
just one second.
Just
one second. Hold on. No, because I want to get to the crux of this.
So all you're going to do is interrupt me every time I try to...
Hold on. Whoa, gentlemen. Okay. George, ask the question one more time, and then we'll get Marty's answer.
What you said was that 80% of the members in UKIP joined after the referendum. So here's the question. Are you saying that only 20% of the UKIP membership today were members before the referendum? Is that what you're saying? And where's the proof?
All right. Are you going to be quiet so I can answer you?
Absolutely.
Yes, he is.
All right. Listen, first of all, George, if I say that my impression is that 80% of the membership joined after 2014, then obviously, mathematically, factually, that means that 20% joined before 2014. So it was just my impression that I got from being at the conference.
Okay, lovely. But because we've gone from it being a fact to it being an impression.
I don't think I actually said it was a fact. I said it was from the impression that I got.
No, you didn't. You said 80% of the UKIP members joined after the referendum.
I said it looked like to me.
No, you didn't.
Then oh well, we can have a listen back.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, so it is your impression that there is an enhanced membership in very, very recent times is the bottom line there, yeah, Martin?
Yeah.
Okay, look, fair enough. I mean, is it not? Let me ask Mark this, because I know that Mark is a vehement supporter of Henry Bolton, and I think it's only fair that that camp gets a say as well. And also, I am curious to know, Mr. Childs, why you trust somebody so strongly that you cannot possibly be certain about, because that is the way life is.
Well, I suppose you can never be totally certain, and at some point you have to give your trust to someone. I never, as much as I like Paul, I never fully trusted him for the position. I supported him for the position. I never voted for him. I actually voted for John Rhys Evans. However, I would say at that time I was very suspicious of John still. He came from nowhere. There was just something about him that, although I liked him and spoke to him and got on.
Is there not a part of you? Is there not a part of you that, a pragmatic part that says, you know what, I cannot be sure, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt? Is that not the bottom line?
No, I've never been sure with Henry Bolton. I actually I never started supporting John as soon as he launched. I wanted to see who the runners were. David Curtin was appealing to me. And then obviously Henry came into the mix. Now, I knew of Henry. We'd been Facebook friends. I'd seen various different things about him, nowhere near to the extent of obviously what I do now. I was speaking to Henry regular, from the start, from him coming into the leadership, and we've always continued that engagement.
Fair play. All right. Okay. Gentlemen, I want to ask you now, I want to move slightly. I want to ask you about the Bolton Wanderers. These guys that are basically quitting the party to set up their own parties, these splinter parties. And what does that mean for UKIP and for Brexit? So let's start off with Affinity, which, Daily Brexit exclusive earlier today, yeah? We put out a story, I did, because we is me. No, not entirely, actually. We've got some folks around this team, eh? Which basically said that, yes, it is confirmed. It's just confirming the worst-kept secret around the UKIP congregation that JRE has quit the party, and that he is indeed helping to set up, taking forward a party that was put together. And I can just give you a little bit of detail on what they're talking about, because they've got a holding page. And so if you go to reboot2020.com, about us.php, and you can have a look at that. We'll talk about some of this. I'll just leave it on the screen, and then you can read it yourself. In fact, while these guys chew over affinity. What do you think about it, George?
Oh, I really don't know, to be honest. I think it's probably all pie in the sky. You know, political parties start and finish. They generally go nowhere. I think it's a terrible shame for UKIP, because the truth is that UKIP was, and still could be, the only party that can actually hold their feet to the fire over this. And the pure fact that they were so frightened of UKIP, because let's make no bones about it, all this racism, all this Nazi stuff, that was fear. They had to do that. That was fear of what UKIP could do, because they saw that it had real momentum. So they tried to frighten people from joining it. And if it disappears, I really do fear for Brexit. Really do.
For our nation.
Yeah. Well, our nation depends on Brexit.
But what has
Marty,
UKIP
what do you
actually
think?
done since 2014? What have they actually done since the EU referendum?
Not a lot. They've been in turmoil. And
They've done absolutely nothing.
Somebody should have stepped up and sorted it out. We made a big mistake. Paul Nutt was a very nice guy, but, you know, I mean, hello. Everybody knew that he couldn't do that job.
I was with Paul Nutt all Friday. I was with Paul Nutt all Friday night, and he turned around to me and said that he should never have been leader.
Absolutely.
So
I knew that.
I feel sorry for Paul Nuttall, because to me, he never looked like leadership material. But on the other hand, he seemed like a really, really lovely guy. And and he had a poison chalice off the back of Farage. But again, that's ancient history. Who cares, frankly?
yeah,
what we care
let's
about
get back
is
to this
Brexit.
affinity.
Yeah, that's right. Affinity. Marty.
Well, we actually got sidetracked on what we were talking about a moment ago about why I was in Torquay.
Yeah.
When I first went onto the Electoral Commission website, I was setting up a party for John Rhys Evans. That was DDIP, and basically what was going to happen is, it was directly after he lost that election. I had a long chat with him, and I said, like, what I'll do is, because he wanted to stay in the UKIP because he didn't want to leave the people who had supported him in his campaign in the Paul Nuttall one. I said, right, if you want, I will set up a political party ready for direct democracy. When you come to your senses, you can come over and take the reins. That has been the case ever since we first put DDIP together. As far as I was aware, if he lost this time, he was going to take the reins and make DDIP a direct democracy party for the people. We went down to Torquay, went to meet him. He said he was going to do this meeting in a hotel. We went in there, started chatting away. Somebody came up to me and said, "You got to go and speak to John. You got to go and speak to John about what's going on, what's happening, and this, that, and the other." I said, "Yeah, we'll do. I'm just getting a drink. I'm going to chat." And he said, "No, you got to go and speak to him now." And I went over and I said, "Look, John, okay, what's happening?" And he turned around and told me that he was not coming over to DDIP. He was going to go to this new party, Affinity. I said, "Who's behind it?" And he said, "Robert was." I said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "Well, make a meeting between me, Robert, and yourself. We'll sit down at a table and I'll explain to Robert he's better off coming over to DDIP because the party is registered. We've got a bank account. The party's all set up. I don't see the sense in what you're doing." And John Rhys Evans turned around and said, "But they don't like the name DDIP and you can't change the name of a party," which is absolute nonsense. And I said, "Well, I don't like the name of the party, John." I said, "But I didn't pick that name. You did." And the faces on the people that were stood around us at the time was like, it was a shock. Like, what do you mean he picked it? And I said, yeah. I said, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do, John. I'm going to go outside, I'm going to have a cigarette, and I'm going to calm down." And that's what I did. And when I went back in the bar, he'd left the building and gone out through a different exit. So this thing with Affinity is not something that is new. It's something that has been planned for a very, very long time. It's got a lot of money backers behind it, a lot of serious businessmen backing it. And I just think it's very dangerous. And good luck to John B7.
Is it not an awesomely good idea to be talking about the public having more of a say in the legislative process, which is basically where this is leading? That's where this whole thing is leading. It's not so much about, yeah, sure, the party as well, but what they really want to do is to give people more say in actual government legislation, as opposed to what happens at the moment is that these political parties decide, oh, we like this guy because he's going to do what we say, and so we will parachute him into that seat, and then which is a strong seat. He'll never get kicked out because they'll always vote for the Tory or they'll always vote for the Labour guy, and then we've basically got the yes man in place, which is actually why Labour, for example, is ridden with Blairites, because they're all parachuted in. And the real Labour people, grassroots in those constituencies, what are they going to do? Are they going to vote for the Blairite Labour guy, or are they going to vote for the Tory? Well, I mean, we're learning, people are getting more sophisticated now. We are learning. Marty, tell me.
Call me cynical, but I just find it very hard to believe that a cartel of very, very rich people actually want to create a party of direct democracy. I just don't believe it. I was asked if I would get involved in it, and I said, basically, no.
Can rich people not be good people too?
They can, I know lots of rich people that are really, really great people, but in politics, I just don't want to see a rich cartel buying government.
That sounds a bit prejudiced to me. I don't know. What do you think, George? Prejudice? You tell me. Well, I'm playing devil's advocate. George, what do you say about that?
I don't think that you can judge people by the size of their wallet. There are some rich people who are libertarians, very good libertarians. They know, they want what we want. Look at the guy from Wetherspoons. Would you object if he was?
I love that guy. He's awesome. Yeah, what's his name?
I can't remember his name.
Mr.
Booze, I think.
Mr.
Funny. Booze is his name.
He's funny.
Yeah, but the point is, there are rich people who don't have their own agendas. That they want what's best for the country, and I think I think it's absolutely terrible.
Tim Martin, John Lansford.
Because you've got a few quid, you can't be involved in a new party that gives democracy to the people.
Yeah, but
ridiculous.
Can you imagine a scenario, for example, if there was a party that comprised of what they call a national management team, and on that national management team happened to be, say, Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, what's the woman who took us to court? What's her name?
Oh, Gina Miller.
People
this is the EU party. These people are all ardent supporters of the EU. Branson so loves the EU. Gina Miller says it's all about democracy. It's all about democracy. It's because you want to stay in the EU, love.
Yeah, you're not making a good argument there, Mark, because you are naming people who are definitely
I said hypothetically. I said,
I'm just saying.
Oh, all right, John.
Well, why would I imagine that? Why can't I imagine people like the guy from Wetherspoons? John Mills, for example. He's pro Leave.
Can you imagine what it'd be
why
like?
can't we imagine those rich people?
Tim Martin, the Wetherspoons guy.
George, let me ask you a question. Who is on the management team?
Sorry?
Who is on the management team?
I haven't got a clue.
Does anybody have a clue?
No, I don't know.
Which management team?
The management team that is behind Affinity.
No, I don't know. I'll look it up. Good idea.
Knows.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if
how would we know? I mean, we didn't even. I'd never even heard about them until 2 days ago.
I know some people that are directly involved, but I would rather not name names. I
Mark,
don't see
name names. Come on, let's be scurrilous. Let's try and get sued here. Come on, give us some gossip. What do you think about Affinity?
Well, if it's the people that were at the secret meeting that I witnessed in Torquay in an Indian restaurant, then yeah, it would be them same people.
Well, what was wrong with those people? Well, they were having a curry. So what?
No, it wasn't. They weren't having a curry. It was a secret meeting about Affinity.
Well, that's all right. If that's okay. What's wrong with that? People have to have meetings. Secret, maybe. Yeah? I mean, people have to have meetings. Well, you tell me a company that doesn't have meetings, and actually they're probably secret, or what's discussed in those meetings is probably secret, because that's the way businesses and corporations and institutions
people do have meetings,
work.
but not when you've just walked out on someone else who has specifically gone down to Torquay to meet you, to arrange to push a party forward.
So who was at this meeting?
Yeah, come on, Goss.
Are you really going to push me to name names here?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you should. What I think you need to do, Mr. Charles. Pardon? Okay, sorry. Pardon?
Paula Adden, Chris Boosie, Ryan Walters.
Okay, fine. So 3 guys, girls, sit down and have a chat.
3 UKIP
so
activists.
What? Okay. So you're saying that UKIP's top brass type folks are plotting. Yeah, did you watch any of the Tory conference this last week?
No.
What are you saying? What are you saying? But people are understandably concerned, or should be concerned, about the future of UKIP. I mean, personally, I hope it thrives, and I hope it goes forward, that everything is hunky-dory, and that it proves a wonderful pressure group for Brexit. But I don't know. And maybe a lot of folks are just not sure. Hey?
I can't hear him.
Mark, you're breaking up there. You're breaking up. That's probably the... I don't know. That's...
Probably these millionaires who are starting this new party. They're interfering with our conversation. I would say.
They've got insiders at Cheltenham, GCHQ.
From inside an Indian restaurant somewhere.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you called that. There was one name that I left off as well. Gavin Felton, who was messaging me later that evening about Affinity.
Look, I don't know. This is okay. This is what one person is saying. In fairness, I'm just trying to understand what is wrong with people at such a pivotal time for UKIP, when UKIP potentially, Nigel Farage said the week before, or a month before, whatever, if Anne-Marie Waters wins, he said that the party's got no future. It's finished. Maybe these people were sat down trying to work around that, if that was the case. Whether or not Nigel Farage is right on that, it's another matter. But that was an opinion that was made by, if you like, the father of modern UKIP. And it kind of makes sense that people are going to be considering other parties and different scenarios depending on what happens, Mark. I don't really know. You know, they had a curry. I mean...
This was a cop-out for John, because he actually told me himself that he would leave if he did not become leader, because he felt that the party did not want what he was trying to bring to the party. This is apart from the fact that direct democracy had been passed by the NEC, passed by the interim leader, and if Henry Bolton had came in and totally rejected the idea, then of course that would have been very bad from him from the start, to have the NEC against you from the start, and obviously a lot of the membership that would support direct democracy. What Henry has said throughout is that he believes a version of direct democracy can work in the party, that John's version of it needed to be revised, it needed to be tested, and actually if you look at his plans for what he intends to do, is a more sure way of bringing direct democracy to the party.
So why were you trying to get him to join your party and try and scupper UKIP then?
I think you might be confused there, George. You're talking to Mark, not me.
No, I think that's to you, Marty.
Oh, sorry, say again.
Why were you trying to get JRE to leave UKIP and join your party and scupper UKIP then? If it's so wrong that he might be doing it with somebody else.
No, what I did was I was setting up a party for JRE.
And so it's exactly the same thing.
Same thing as what?
The same thing as he's doing now. It's just that he hasn't gone with you. What would have been different if he'd gone with you?
No, but
I'm a little bit confused about where you're coming from. Mark Charles had just had a big long spiel, and then you just come out with that, George, which I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, but the point is that you know, it's what's the difference between what he's done now and going with you? If he's gone with somebody else and not you, what's the difference?
I'm not moaning about him going with anybody.
Well, you seemed to be earlier. You said you were giving it all. You walked out on me and I set this up.
No. Let me just explain something to you, George. We was under the impression that JRE was coming over to take the reins of a party that I'd created for him.
It's the party as well, to be fair.
Look, Mark, your phone, it keeps cutting out and it's noisy, and I'm going to say thank you very much, and God bless you, mate. It's always wonderful to have you on, and I'll catch you, because I mean, you know, I get all this feedback in my ear, and your phone is absolutely bloody awful. Right, so gentlemen, okay, fine. So you have mixed feelings about affinity. You clearly, Marty, are not very impressed by it. George, are you not impressed by it at all? Do you kind of agree that there's, you know, well, you said actually, didn't you? You said you don't. Right. No. Yeah. Well, is there anything more to add to that, or should we go on to Anne-Marie Waters' one?
Hold on, just 1 second. I think that it's a bad move by JRE. I think he should have stayed put. I think UKIP could still be a fabulous party. I think he had some great ideas, but it seems to me that it's, unless I get the power, I don't want to play with your ball. You know, that's it. I'm taking my ball, I'm going, because it's not the way I want it. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, he should have stayed, tried his best to implement what he wants, negotiated on it, tested it, seen if it works, and then he should have made a decision whether it was going to work with this party or not. You know, this is very much, it's my ball, so I'm not playing anymore.
It does sound a bit like that, you could argue, but then again, maybe he just feels passionately about this particular policy. I don't know. I mean, I understand that Mr. Rhys Evans is going to be coming on the show in the next few days to tell us about this, and so I'm looking forward to that.
I'd love to hear it, because
I'd like to.
You know,
I'll be asking him about this, of course, and also I've invited Anne-Marie Waters on as well. I invited all of the leadership candidates. Yeah. I just want to make a point, actually, just to say, George, I just want to make a point, editorial point, because I've heard it through the grapevine from a senior source connected with Anne-Marie, that she didn't want to come on this show because she felt that I wouldn't be fair towards her. That this show was basically not interested in her candidacy in any way, shape, or form. That is nonsense. That is nonsense. That's not the case. I'm interested in hearing from everybody. I'm actually interested in hearing from Ramonas. I mean, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to keep a straight face talking to them. But yeah, if Ali Campbell wants to come on the show and have a chat, you know, chew the whatnot, fine, we'll do it. Anybody is welcome to come on this show of whatever political persuasion and give their opinion, and they will have their opinion. Well, I'll do my utmost best to respect that opinion, and I don't see why that shouldn't be the case, that there is respect both ways. because one thing we do need to do, I think, absolutely, is to come together somehow. Somehow we need to come together. So yeah, Anne-Marie Waters, all of your crew and what have you, you're mistaken. She can come on. She will get a very fair hearing. It goes for anybody, you know, if Boris wants to come on. Oh, blimey. This is a key thing, isn't it? This surely should be one of the themes of this week, unity.
Absolutely. Just to be clear about where I stand, I am going to stay with UKIP. That's where I am.
Marty?
I love UKIP in 2014, mate.
You do not... Yeah. The thing is, okay, all right. So, George, let me ask you this question then, from what you just said. Yep. If you... we need to be talking across party lines anyway, don't we? We have to be reaching out across party lines. We need to be less insular with our sectarian politics, and we need to be thinking about how do we ensure Brexit. Absolutely. We have to make UKIP is in a bad position because of all of the nonsense. You know, I mean, apparently I'm the biggest racist under the sun. I'm a Nazi. I'm a fascist. I'm intolerant. You've got a mixed race family, actually, haven't you?
Yeah. Because I am a member of UKIP. Okay. Now that was a narrative started by the other political parties and the media in conjunction with them, because they were frightened of UKIP. That's why that was started. Unfortunately, it had traction. I know I've met lots and lots and lots of UKIP members. And yes, let's be fair, there are a few loonies, but there are loonies in every party. You know, I can go to a website now and I can find you paedophiles, thieves, people who've committed all sorts of crimes, been jailed from them, from every political party. But they're never mentioned. But when somebody who's full of beer makes a little comment in a pub when they're drunk and they're a UKIP member, it's like they've committed mass murder. And that has to change. The only way we can change that, is by showing people who and what we really are. And unfortunately, that's what's been missing.
The one thing that UKIP's always been missing, or has been missing for a very, very long time, is UKIP doesn't have any spin doctors, basically. Back in 2012, when they was lucky with the rise of UKIP, they got this springboarded from a situation that happened in Rotherham with two foster parents. Don't know, was you in the party then, George? Yep. You remember it? Two foster parents got kicked out from being foster parents because they were UKIP members. And the media picked up on it, and they made they made UKIP the underdog, which is actually fatal in this country, because a British person will always side with the underdog. We do. Yeah. And that's what actually catapulted UKIP's popularity. As soon as the media had realised the mistake they made, they started to attack UKIP with the smears. Unfortunately, Crowther, being the type of person that he is, would rather get rid of the problem rather than deal with the problem, and actually spin things in a way to make the party shine. To succeed in politics, you have to turn negatives into positives and come out shining, and you can't do that without having the negatives. That's right. Godfrey Bloom was absolutely a master at creating negatives. He was brilliant. He knew everything that he did, from Bongo Land to whatever. He was an absolute master at it. Yeah, he was. But there was nobody in the party there at the top to actually spin what he was doing. So the mud stuck, and it stuck, and it stuck, and it stuck. And I believe that UKIP now has got the mud stuck so deep into it, you ain't ever going to get rid of it.
Well, I disagree with that. I do disagree with it.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, there are lots and lots of people around the country who are either members of UKIP or are supporters of UKIP. And a lot of the support outside the membership, they're traumatised. They don't want to admit because of all of this. We have to do something about it. It's never too late. Never, ever too late.
Well, this is a time. This is precisely the time to be thinking about this stuff, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
Marty,
what you need to be thinking about now, and you need to be a little bit smarter than what a lot of people have been at the moment, and that is to start thinking about Britain after Brexit, because you can keep shouting and screaming about, you know, we've got to hold government's feet to the fire. We don't
know for sure that we're going to get Brexit. Well, that is the priority. We have to ensure Brexit. We cannot...
No, you don't.
Yes, right. You're right. You're right, Marty. Hold on. Let me rant. We have to. I agree. We have to. That is the job of our useless bloody civil service. But it's not, you know, most of us are incapable, frankly. We haven't got the tool sets and the skills and what have you to be putting in place what needs to be done for post-Brexit. That's the sort of thing that needs to be done by government, by the civil service. No?
Yeah, but
as for the rest of us, the grassroots, the ground troops, the people that basically just want to get out of the EU, we can't be dealing with much of that stuff. Yeah, we could be discussing some of it, but what we absolutely have to prioritise is that Brexit happens.
Well, shall I tell you the one biggest problem I have with UKIP?
Well, hold on. Let Marty defend that first, because I just threw a grenade at him.
The truth of the matter is you can rant and rave as much as you like about Brexit now, but nobody other than the government and the EU have any control over what happens in Brexit now. No matter all the ranting, the shouting, the raving, it won't make any blind bit of difference at all. And we've got to make sure...
I think you're wrong. I think you're very, very wrong.
Some challenge.
I think you're wrong. And I think that UKIP proves that you're wrong. Because UKIP was a way for people to jump on a bandwagon and to rant and rave, as you put it, to have a conversation that forced that government, that Cameron government, to do what successive governments had promised us and lied about, to hold that referendum. Therefore, it's proven that ranting and raving does actually get results. No?
Yes, and if it hadn't been for UKIP, we would have never got the referendum.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is, ever since we got the referendum, UKIP have done absolutely so all, apart from embarrass themselves at every turn.
Well, that's a different issue, though. I agree with that.
And I agree with that.
So,
I'd just like to say one other thing about UKIP as it is now, and that is about the new leader. One of the things that we need in UKIP is passion.
Yes.
Passion is it infects people. I just cannot imagine Mr. Bolton standing up and being passionate about anything. He's a bit like John Major. You know, he's the grey man.
I think Henry Bolton is going to surprise a lot of people. I watched the I watched the interviews that he had in his first press conference after becoming the leader, and he was quite chirpy, and he was, you know, you got to realise he's brand new to the job. He's just in it, and he's got to form himself. He's not going to be another Nigel Farage.
No, I understand that.
You know, but still, I think he will. He's probably the best chance UKIP's got now.
Well, it's the only chance UKIP's got now, because if he doesn't done it, then UKIP is totally kippered. No?
I hope he is successful, but I can't imagine, and I mean, I don't know about you, Ollie, or I don't know about anybody else, but I can't imagine him making a speech and being passionate enough to involve people in his passion, which is what we need.
I'm going to give our wonderful, awesome audience, whose comments I have been following, a bit of a look in here. Daryl Goodliff says, I don't know about that. I thought Henry Bolton's conference speech was passionate. Alan Love says, UKIP no longer a party that encourages ranting and raving. Alan J. Edgar Brown, disagree, Marty. Bolton is a shill. I don't think you spelled shill right, Alan. Daryl Goodliff, can we put that on a beer mat? Ranting and raving gets results. We must stick to what we know works, says Mark Childs. Amanda Rolovsen. Wow, that's a wicked surname. Took them a long time, though, did it not? I think that was to get the referendum, UKIP forcing the referendum that Amanda's talking about. And it did, yes, it did. Sherry Arnott, walk and tell EU that we won't be bullied. So what's the solution? We already know the cause, says Alan J. Elder Brown. No, not everybody does know the cause, Alan. Daryl Goodliff. Olly is right. I thought for a time, like Marty on Brexit, but things have changed. We need to lock Brexit down. Gary Dodds, most politicians can't spell the word truth. Okay, sorry, George, carry on. George.
The solution is very simple. Let me do the negotiation and we'll be out in 7 days. There you go.
You know, I'm going to finish up in about 10 minutes. Guys, I did want to ask Marty first, just without kicking up a big storm with the dragons. You know what the question's going to be now, don't you? Who I have to say, I'm very, very grateful that hang around here. And I really respect what you guys are doing. I really do. Absolutely. Marty, you disagree.
Sorry about that. I had somebody at the door.
Oh, blimey. I'll tell you what.
It can't be helped.
No, that's right. It couldn't be helped. No. Okay, right. So, tell me, Marty, the dragons, you have a problem with the what they're doing. And I don't really understand why, to be honest with you. I know that you take a different legal position to that of Graham Moore, and I don't want to create any dust between you two, because personally I think it would be much nicer if people got along. However, I think it's interesting to hear your viewpoint on this. Why can we not be pleased that somebody is exploring the legality of what's been done to our democracy?
Don't know, where do you start? Graham Moore did this back in 2015. He did a thing online, did a funding thing to get donations, put a judicial review in for what was it? The right to bear arms, 2015. He got a lot of donations and it never materialised. Nothing ever happened. It then popped up again in 2017. Doing a judicial review, and I thought, well, no, I don't think that's right, because you can't have a judicial review on primary law. That is a law of the land. And then he did this thing with the dragons, and it was common law, no loss, no injury, no harm, or something like that. And I thought he's confusing common law there with civil law, which is basically there's no blame without fault. Common law itself is actually the law of precedence. You know, Sue
McCallum points out that Gina Miller used common law, so it works.
Well, no, common law is judge-made law. It's the law of precedence. It's not anything to do with harm, injury, or anything like that.
Well, she's right. Sue McCallum's right. Gina Miller went to the Supreme Court and they decided that actually there should be a vote in the Commons, which was fantastic, actually, as it turned out.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
What Gina Miller did, she took the government to court because she said that the government didn't have the right to act without first passing it through Parliament. And she was using it on using statute law to say that the government themselves didn't have the right. Now, what the Supreme Court had to decide then is on what precedent they would set if they agreed with government or agreed with Gina Miller. Now, if they had agreed with government, it would have meant that any government could do anything what it's like without having to put it through Parliament. And the judges decided that is probably not a good thing to do. So they sided with Gina Miller. But they didn't. Gina Miller did not try to get a judicial review on a statute of law or an act of Parliament, because you just can't do that. The sovereignty of law is Parliament.
George, what do you think about all this?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think that I'm not sure if it will work. I'm not sure if it's viable.
What they've done, the Dragons, is that they've sued the government. They put in a writ basically saying that the ECA 1972 was a fraud, and they're waiting for a response, which I think they should get in about a week or 10 days. If somebody wants to clarify that, I'd be keen to know precisely when they are supposed to be answered.
But it's all, until you get the answer, it's all pie in the sky.
Well, yeah, sure it is. You know, but that is why you sue people, to test.
Absolutely. So let's wait for the result, and then we know where we stand.
Well,
but, I fear that the status quo will be allowed, because mostly in most of the legal things I've ever seen, it's more difficult to overturn the status quo than it is to keep the status quo going.
Marty, is it not worth testing the status quo?
Is it not worth testing?
Yeah.
Testing it how?
Suing it, trying to make it change. And pushing the boundaries.
It is always worth trying to make change, but that change has got to be... The route that you take has to be a viable route and something that you can legally do. And you cannot void an act of Parliament. That's
right. Okay. I don't know the legalities of this, and I don't have a legalese type of brain. Bear of small brain, basically. Amanda Rolovsen says about this: Gina Miller did it on behalf of George Soros, who could not take it to court. If that is the case, that the government, did not have the right, you can then say, okay, taking us into the EEC and subsequently the EU was also wrong and illegal. Okay, we've kind of covered this earlier, Amanda, but I appreciate you these comments. Sue has come back. We have a case on David Davis's desk now. About 8 days, I think, Olly. Oh, look, it's there. The government on David Davis's desk is kind of like, a euphemism, if you like. Chris Rumbold, no one is above the law. Papers have been served on the government. If it couldn't be done by law, why has it gone this far? Well, that's an interesting question.
How far has it gone?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's gone on. It's gone into the ministry or something. And I don't know. Looking at it and going,
all you need to get something.
Blimey! I tell you what, there's a bunch of conspiracy theorists out there.
well, hold on. Let's be fair. All you need to get something into a ministry is an envelope and a stamp and the address.
You fill that in an application form.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we have to wait and see. Personally,
I think we have to wait and see.
I'd love to see it all overturned and us just be out.
Wow.
But
can you imagine?
Yeah, wouldn't it be wonderful?
I'll tell you what.
I'm not holding my breath over it, to be perfectly honest.
It would be exciting.
I think, look, that there are, in the referendum, there are 13.5 million people voted to leave. I personally believe that there are more than that now who want to leave.
Yeah, you're right.
What we need is a group of people, whether it's a political party or not. I'd like to think it could be UKIP.
Yeah.
To infuse those people, bring them together, and use the power of 17.5 million people. Because if somebody can do that, if you could only get 20% of them, 15% of them, that would make you so huge that Brexit would be guaranteed.
I'm going to end on that note. I love that.
Ollie.
Marty, carry on.
Yeah,
Sorry,
just quickly. Here's a perfect example for you. Gary Dodds. Right, Gary Dodds has posted a comment on the thing here about the Magna Carta.
Yes.
And he says Magna Carta has got nothing to do with politicians. It's between the Crown and her people. Well, the truth of the matter is the Magna Carta had nothing at all to do with people whatsoever. The Magna Carta was between the barons and the king. You're going back into an era where...
However, there was stuff in there about us plebs, serfs type chaps.
Yeah, but
there was stuff about us regulars.
The thing about the Magna Carta now is all of the clauses in the Magna Carta that are of any use to the people have all been revoked.
Yeah, they're gone. There's 3 left.
Look,
the only 3 parts of the Magna Carta that are still applicable in law today is the right to trial by jury, the rights of London, and the rights of the church. They're the only 3 applicable things in law today.
Mark Charles makes an interesting point as well. I wouldn't accuse of anything wrong doing here with the Dragons. I know most of them are great and passionate people. However, my concern is that they have been given a red herring as another distraction to take our focus. I don't know. I think it's making people talk. It seems to me, gentlemen. People are talking. No.
Well, this is what we say in DDIP
people
about
are protesting too.
It's like the left and right thing. The government loved the idea of the left and the right because the left and the right shout at each other instead of shouting at the government.
You're suggesting that there should be division. Why should there be division? Why should there be division over basically people protesting? Even if you're not absolutely certain that you can change the law, the fact is that you're putting the pressure on. Because the reason that people are protesting and using this as a lever is because they want Brexit. And so anything that can help us talk about Brexit has got to be good. No? No?
Sue McCollum just said, well, Marty, what have you done? Nothing. Well.
I agree with you, Ollie. I agree with you. Try everything. Everything has to be tried.
I'm going to go. Let's go.
Try everything.
Go on, Martin. Go on.
Things that you can do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Jumping off the top of a building won't do you any good. Trust me.
I wouldn't do that. This has been the Daily Brexit. Yeah. Marty Caine, thank you so much. George Hellis, thank you so much. I'm going to be very top notch. Really good geezers. Mark Charles called in and nobody else called in. You are so useless. Please, share the show, all that stuff. That would be great. Back tomorrow. Yeah, Michael Finley, an old mate of mine from the States who was an independent presidential candidate. Yeah, and blimey. Oh, I've run out of theme tune. I can never time this right. Right. Okay. Well, that's it. You can all go off now and go and check out Farage if you haven't already.
Thank you very much for the invite anyway, Ollie. It was interesting.
Hey, Marty. It was lovely to have you on the show, mate. And you too, George. Thanks for coming back on.
Well, thank you
later, George.
See you later.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy the. Yeah. You're parked up in a car park, aren't you? Yeah.
With me, yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. All right. Enjoy the car park.
Yeah.
I say something here. Here's to us and bugger plutocracy.